So one question a lot of people have is, well, if we evolved from great apes, why are there still great apes around? So the first thing I feel a need to correct is we are still great apes. We evolved from a great ape lineage, but we are still great apes. We're still a member of the great ape family. So the other thing is that evolution is not a ladder that goes straight up in a straight line of descent. It's more of a tree with branches. And the branches account for the fact that we are quite different from our great ape relatives, but our great ape relatives are still around. So evolution moves at different paces in different environments. If an environment doesn't change very much, then the animals that live in that environment, if it's a very stable environment, then the animals that live in that environment probably aren't going to change very much. But other species or other groups of species that live in an environment that changes suddenly, well, they are going to have to, those populations are going to adapt. And if the population doesn't adapt over time to the new environment, then that species or species are likely to go extinct. So in our case, what scientists think happened is that millions of years ago, Africa was different, the climate was different, and there was a huge tropical rainforest over the middle of the continent. And however, there were some climate changes and geological changes, and over time, the forest shrank. That huge rainforest that was all across Africa, it shrank and it became much smaller. So what happened was that the apes that lived in the east, this area changed a lot. There was something called the rift valleys. The two edges of the continent started pulling apart, and it created a lot of very diverse habitats in this area, kind of running up from modern Ethiopia down to South Africa. And so there were great apes in this all over this area. And as the forest shrank, the great apes in this part, the rainforest, they kept on being great apes. That environment was pretty similar to the one that had been there before. So they continued on their great ape way of life. However, the great apes who lived on this side, this what was formerly a rainforest, suddenly their environment changed. And they had to change a lot to keep up. So that's why our ancestors ended up branching off and taking a different path in evolution than did chimps and gorillas and bonobos. Now, that doesn't mean that modern chimps and modern gorillas haven't evolved. They have been evolving for just as long as we have, but the evolutionary pressures didn't send them off in any directions that made them substantially different, probably, from their ancestors. They probably continued to fine-tune things like their immune system. There may be differences in the length of their hair or in some areas. Now we have mountain gorillas that have very long hair, and then there are lowland gorillas with their hair, so they may have been different. So there's still evolution that has been going on in these lineages, even if it's not as dramatic as what happened with us and our ancestors.